welcome to tonight's live stream broadcast here on extremeweathervideos.com. Great to be with everyone this evening. We've got another winter storm that we're going to be talking about this evening, and we're going to be here taking your guys' questions, giving you guys some answers, letting you guys know how to prepare. How is this storm going to be different from the last storm, and what you need to know tonight as we get closer to this weekend's impacts. We've got all of that ahead right here on the live stream. If you're just joining, jump in that live chat, say hello, and then also be sure to like this video and share it with a friend here that lives in the Southeast. We're going to be covering all the Southeast impacts from Georgia up through the Carolinas, and then maybe even taking a look ahead beyond that as well. So thanks for joining us this evening. My name is meteorologist Joseph Pisani here at Extreme Weather Videos. I'm so glad to have you guys here on the live stream tonight. Great to be with you guys again. Can't believe we're talking about another winter storm here. Seems like we're still actually dealing with the last one, still having some major impacts, especially across portions of Mississippi down into Louisiana. Even here in northeast Georgia, we're still experiencing some impacts from this power outages. Really widespread still with the last storm. I mean, we're still talking over, believe it or not, last I checked, we're still over 300,000 people across the U.S. right now at this moment are still without power. So really praying that the linemen will be able to get to continue to restore power. But obviously with the conditions there, it has been a big challenge, especially across portions of northern Mississippi. Austin and Allie, great to have you guys here on the live stream this evening out there in Monroe. Thanks for joining us tonight. The big question that is on everyone's mind here, especially in Georgia and the Carolinas, is what's going to happen this weekend. You're starting to see a lot of stuff being posted on social media here these last couple days. We've kind of been teasing at it a little bit ourselves. So I figured it was time for us to go ahead and have our first live broadcast, kind of give you guys a first look, so to say, at what we are thinking about this next potential winter storm here across the Southeast, including where I'm at here in the Atlanta, Georgia metro area. So real quick, though, I did want to show you this here that I was just talking about. This is the latest update here as far as our power outage numbers that we have, and still over 325,000 people are still experiencing power outages. You can see mainly from Tennessee's about 115,000, Mississippi 108,000, Louisiana still at 60,000, and Texas with about 11,000. So really be praying for the folks out there, because it is going to be another really cold night down into the 20s and teens in many of these areas. So really need to be praying that they can get their power turned back on, because this is definitely turning into a bad situation out there. All right, so here we go. Let's go ahead and dive into our next winter storm potential. We're going to start kind of take a look here from high up and then kind of go down. So here's kind of what we have going on right now. So we've got this big trough that's kind of moved through, and that has, obviously, we have had some really cold weather, and you think it's cold now, wait till this weekend. It is about to get a lot colder. We're talking high temperatures in the 20s by Saturday. So down here in Georgia, I mean, even parts of Florida could potentially see snow again. Yeah, even on the west coast of Florida, National Weather Service, even in Tampa, has basically been talking about the chance for some snow flurries down there from like Tampa down to Sarasota and Bradenton and those areas. So this is going to be a big storm. So what is different about this storm? Well, this storm, believe it or not, is not coming out of the Pacific. It's actually going to be an upper level low that's going to develop over the Ohio Valley and kind of drop southeast over the Atlantic. And then we're going to have a upper level low kind of develop here across the Gulf of Mexico, and that will kind of merge over here on the east side of Florida, and then it's going to ride up the East Coast. Good evening, Candace. Thanks for hopping on. Great to have you on here. So this is a very different system from what we're seeing. There is that low pressure there on Saturday morning. So that kind of dives southeast, right, across Georgia. And then it's going to come out here over the open waters of the Atlantic. And then we're going to see it basically pick up and go northeast up the Gulf Stream. Now, this storm here is also going to be different because unlike the last storm was basically all ice, right? This storm here is going to be positioned where the center of the low is going to be south of us, which is going to put us on the northwest side of that low pressure center, which is typically, rather than us being on the south side where we saw that rain and freezing rain, we're going to be on the northwest side, which is going to be all 100% snow. The other thing is, with last time, we were right at around that 32-degree mark where we had that freezing rain. With this event, we will be below freezing. I mean, we're talking down in the 20s again on Saturday. I mean, this is going to be cold. So this is going to be really cold air, which is going to, again, make this all snow. And not only that, but this is also something where we could be talking about higher snowfall totals. Even it may not take a lot of what we call liquid precipitation way up in the atmosphere to fall down. Our snowfall totals, a lot of different weather maps that you see, they will use what is called a 10-to-1 snow ratio. 10-to-1 snow ratio. That's kind of like the standard. With this atmosphere that we're going to have over really Georgia and the Carolinas, the snowfall rates are going to be much higher because it's going to be closer to a 20-to-1. So for every inch of liquid precipitation that falls, that would equal roughly 20 inches of snow. So if we have a tenth an inch of rain that falls over our area, that will give us roughly 2 inches of snow on the ground with that 20-to-1 snowfall ratio. So really big snowfall ratio. This is going to be the really light, fluffy stuff. This is not going to be that wet, heavy snow that we saw last year. This is going to be more like, remember we had 2 different snowfall events here in the southeast last year. We had one January 10th and 11th, and then we had another one about 10 days later, January 20th and 21st. This is going to be more like that second snowfall event where it was that light, fluffy, powdery snow. You can't really build a snowman with it. That's what we're going to be expecting. But it is going to have big impacts on travel. There were a lot of incidents with that particular snowstorm. And also thinking back even to, I think it was Christmas of 2022, we had a similar snowstorm across the southeast, which caused a lot of travel impacts as well. Because with this snow, with as temperatures, as cold as it is, the roads, it's going to basically immediately stick to all the surfaces. It's going to stick to the roads. It's going to stick to the grass, everything, trees, because of how cold it is. So it's not going to be one of those situations where the roads are going to have to cool down a whole lot for it to begin sticking here in Georgia and the Carolinas. So I have posted earlier over on our Facebook page and also over on my meteorologist Joseph Pisani Facebook page that there's basically 3 different scenarios that we could see with this storm system. All right, so we're going to kind of dive into those different scenarios that we're seeing. Feel free, again, if you're just joining on the live stream, go ahead, hop in that chat, get those questions ready. I will be taking those here as well. Again, we're still multiple days away, so this forecast is obviously still subject to change. But I do want to give you guys a heads up that yes, we are looking at the potential for another winter storm to impact parts of North Georgia, East Georgia, Central Georgia, over into the Carolinas, then up the eastern seaboard. So let's kind of dive back into our forecasting models here. All right, so we talked about the big picture. The other thing that we're talking about here that's going to give us such high potential snowfall rates is going, and something that we really have to keep an eye on as where this sets up, is our humidity, right? We need moisture in the air in order for it to snow. So when we're looking at this map here, all this brown is dry air, and then these greens and blues are moist air, right? So as we put this in motion here, I'm going to actually zoom in on the southeast here for us. As we put this into motion here, we can see here, so this is Thursday, so that's tomorrow, dry air. And then Friday is when that moisture, that first little bit of moisture will begin to move in. It will rain on Friday. It'll be in the 50s on Friday, maybe about 50, 52 degrees. So Friday through Friday afternoon, we'll see rain. And then as we get into Friday evening, the temperatures will obviously cool down. Friday evening, parts of northeast Georgia especially could see some light snowfall as early as Friday between 10 a.m. and midnight. So that is kind of like the onset of the potential timing for that. North Georgia, Austin, you're asking, we hear meteorologists say North Georgia a lot when talking about weather. What is considered to be a dividing line for North Georgia? I would say kind of like I-20 and north. I would consider North Georgia maybe like 30 or 40 miles south of I-20. So kind of like those suburbs just south and along I-20 and north. That's what I would consider North Georgia. Great question on that. So we're going to have this moisture begin to move in on Saturday. And then here is the upper level low. And we've seen some different tracks with this. So this is kind of the latest track, which brings that upper level low. We got the dry air on the south, moisture on the north. This is what we need for snow to occur on Saturday. We need this these blues and these greens here, this moist air across Georgia. So it kind of dives down, and it kind of comes off the coast here, maybe right around Savannah with this run. And it still keeps moisture where you see these 100%, 90%, right? That's all that moisture that we need. So basically, in this particular scenario, it kind of covers, we have plenty of moisture across parts of eastern Georgia, kind of over towards Atlanta, and then it drops off on the west side of Atlanta. So with this kind of scenario here, that would allow for that snowfall to occur over much of East Georgia, all the way over to Atlanta, kind of down toward Macon, then down that I-16 corridor on Saturday, right? And then obviously it moves off and it dries out behind it. All right, so that's one model. That's the GFS model. The Euro model, European model, these are two main models. There are more than just two, and I'll let you guys know. You'll typically see people post about the two main models, but there are plenty of more models other than just those two. And obviously now we even have some of these new AI models and stuff like that. So here is the center Saturday morning. So the Euro has it slightly further west, and instead of coming down, it comes down closer to, Brunswick, Georgia is kind of where it comes offshore. So with this model, if this scenario here were to happen on Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon, that would bring that moisture pretty much all the way over here to the state line and include northwest Georgia. All of North Georgia would be in on the moisture on Saturday, which would then again give us all the potential for snow. This is also going to be a quick system. It's not going to be like the last system where it was about 24 hours long. This is going to be in Saturday morning and out by Saturday afternoon. But the snow is going to stick around all day on Saturday because, again, Saturday we're not going to see temperatures get above freezing. We're only going to get to the mid to upper 20s depending on where you live. Sunday is the day where we might get slightly above freezing, but those Sunday morning wind chills, which we'll talk about here, those are going to be brutal. We're talking we could see some temperatures that are below 0 wind chills in places across North Georgia. So that's another scenario. And then let's take a look here at our middle scenario here for this. Let's come back here. For this, we'll have to look with the NWS blend. I can't do that. Here we go. Here's another one. Let's come back to our upper air. This one doesn't have the, here we go, upper air moisture. That's what I want. There we go. So this is the North American model here, which this model has, you can see here, it almost has it kind of really far off to the west and dig in here almost down near Columbus, Georgia, and then move off, kind of move more east and still end up here near Savannah, Georgia, kind of come offshore there near Savannah, Georgia. Its timing is also a little bit different. This is kind of our first glimpse of some of that high resolution model data. You can see there's a little bit more dry air across northwest Georgia, but still plenty of moisture here across eastern and part down into central Georgia, and then obviously over into the Carolinas. And then by Sunday morning, all that dry air is back over west, and it's going to be moving up the coast. So that kind of gives you an idea of the moisture that we need, right? So then when we take this and we can look at some of these snowfall totals. Now remember I mentioned to you earlier about those 20-to-1 snowfall ratios that we could see with this storm. So this is going to be that really light, fluffy snow that stacks up quick. It's not going to be that heavy, wet snow. So unfortunately with this, you're not really going to be able to pack it and build yourself a snowman, right? So if by some miracle we get 6 inches of snow, you're not really going to be able to do a whole lot with that. All right, so we're going to kind of come here to our total snowfall. So this is, again, this is the North American model, right? Just looks at just North America, not a global model. This is what we call a medium range model. All right, so this is kind of what the NAM is thinking. So you can kind of see where that line of snow is. Again, we're talking, again, 10-to-1. So really, when we're looking at these totals on the 10-to-1 ratio, we actually kind of have to basically double these totals. I'm going to kind of zoom in here for you so you can see this a little bit bigger. All right. So basically here across Atlanta, it's saying about ½ an inch, but that would be really closer to an inch. And then further out east toward Athens, it might be, 2 to 3 inches, maybe even more than that. And then obviously over here in parts of the Carolinas, it could be even higher. But that's one thing that as we go into this event that we're going to have to really keep an eye on, and not so much focusing quite yet on snowfall totals, but keeping in mind that these are going to be higher than what the charts per se are showing us because of the atmosphere being so dry and so cold. It's going to increase those snowfall totals, right? Other difference with this is last storm we had all that ice that we were walking. We were looking at this ice like so seriously. Well, here in Georgia, we're not going to get any ice with this. If we get winter precipitation, it is going to be all snow. So snow lovers, rejoice, right? Because this is going to be all snow, maybe a little bit of ice along parts of the coast, but again, very little ice is forecast with this particular system. Taking a look at our European model, I just like showing you guys all the different things because they don't do this on TV, right? You don't get this breakdown when you're watching, 11 Alive or Fox 5. So I appreciate you guys tuning in here to the live stream and joining me, and I can break this down for you guys, take your guys' questions. So again, if you're just joining, hop in that live chat, and we'll continue breaking this down. So this is, again, our European global model that we're looking at here, and you can see here, again, very different picture from the NAM. You can see some of these higher snowfall totals with the year. This is the latest run that we've seen. So again, there's a very big gradient that we're seeing pretty much from Atlanta over towards Athens. Athens and east, I would say we are very definitely getting more confident that Athens and east even towards like Augusta and then up through northeast Georgia, that area of Georgia, all of South Carolina, except maybe far southwestern, southern tip of Carolina, where you could have very much light totals. And then again, all of North Carolina, all those areas are basically guaranteed snow. Even up toward Chattanooga into eastern Tennessee could be a good snow for the Smokies as well. I mean, we could see, possibly up to a foot of snow up in parts of the Smokies, especially on some of those higher elevations like Mount LeConte and those areas. So that is kind of what we're looking at there, right? And again, this is going to be a quick hitter. It's going to come in fast Saturday morning, and then all the snow should be on the ground by like 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday. And it'll stick around throughout the day Saturday, most of the day Sunday, and possibly even into Monday morning. So again, as we get closer to this, we will definitely be able to kind of hone in on the temperature forecast, probability of melting and stuff like that as we go from Sunday into Monday. But it does look like, at least from Saturday into Sunday, through most of the day on Sunday, that we are going to have a good shot at having snow on the ground, right? Let's take a look at our GFS model, right? So this is our third model that we're looking at here. This is the American global model. And the GFS model, you can see, is very different. That's why we're still 3 days out. We don't have that consistency that we're wanting to see in the models, right? The GFS model, pretty much in Atlanta, it's got nothing, right? And it doesn't really start till you get over toward Walton County, up toward Hall County, kind of that line there, from basically Gainesville down toward maybe Covington in that area and points east. So there is still definitely a track difference. That's what we were showing you earlier with the track. The GFS has a more easterly track. The Euro right now is a little bit more west, and we also look at the trends, right? We've seen over the past 3 runs, we have seen with the Euro, we have seen a slight, not a significant, but a slight shift of the track toward the west, which would bring more of Metro Atlanta into that snowfall risk. So again, confidence is increasing of snowfall occurring on Saturday across parts of north and central Georgia, right? This is not going to get over here to Columbus or down here to Albany or down toward Tifton, right? That's not, we're not going to get there, but pretty much the potential area right now is from Chattanooga down to Atlanta, down toward maybe even Macon, and then over toward Statesboro and Savannah and those areas, right? So that's kind of the thinking. Now, the other thing, why is the snow going to stay on the ground for so long as we go into the weekend? Well, it's going to be those temperatures, right? Look at some of these temperatures that we are going to see this weekend. We're going to have a little warm up here these next couple days, so enjoy it. We might actually crack 50 degrees for the first time, and it seems like forever, right? But these temperatures are going to come crashing down Saturday morning. So Friday night, we're going to be in the 40s, right? Friday afternoon, Friday night. And then pretty much by midnight on Saturday, temperatures will drop below freezing. So by midnight on Saturday, we're at about 32 degrees. And then by the time we're waking up here, we are in the 20s on Saturday morning. So it is about 8 o'clock in the morning. This is when that snow would begin, right? It's going to be early. It's going to start early on Saturday. And we're well into the 20s further north. I mean, up here in North Georgia, we're at 17 degrees. And that's why some of these snowfall totals could be so high, even if we don't have a ton of moisture, because those ratios are going to be probably getting close to that 20-to-1 ratio. And then Saturday, as we go through the day, we're staying in the 20s all day on Saturday. Might get to a high of 27, 28 on Saturday afternoon. But we're not expecting anywhere pretty much north of Macon to get above freezing, right? So if you're north of Macon on Saturday, you are not going to get above freezing. And then overnight, Saturday night into Sunday morning, it is going to get cold. I mean, we're talking single digits up here in parts of North Georgia and teens for most of the rest of us, right? Kind of like it was on Tuesday morning. Same type of setup, right? But the winds are going to be cold as well. I think the wind chills on going from Saturday night into Sunday morning could be even colder than what we saw on Tuesday morning. I think we'll actually get really close to 0 degree wind chills here in Atlanta as we go into Tuesday morning. Are you expecting sun on Saturday afternoon or cloudy? The sun will come out pretty quick, probably later Saturday afternoon, closer to sunset, maybe around like 4, 5 o'clock. But once that low pressure system kind of moves off to the east and starts moving up toward the Outer Banks of North Carolina, we will see the sun kind of come out fairly quickly with this, so it's not where we'll stay overcast all day Saturday. And that is another reason why Saturday night into Sunday morning we'll have that snow on the ground. We're going to have the radiational cooling, right? So we don't have the clouds acting as what we call like a blanket, right, where the sun comes through the clouds, or radiation comes in through the clouds, hits the ground, bounces back up, and the clouds kind of re-radiate it down. That's why cloudy nights are always a little bit warmer than clear nights. So we are expecting a clear night Saturday night into Sunday morning. Excellent question there. And guys, if you're in on the live stream, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and then you can come on to the live chat. If you're watching on your phone or on your laptop, feel free to hop on that live chat and ask your questions as we continue here through the live stream. Great questions so far. Next thing that we're looking at here, so that's one forecast. The European temperature forecast is even, to me, a little bit more aggressive as we go through the day. So Friday's going to be a beautiful day. We could get up, like I said, close to 50 degrees by Friday afternoon. So that's going to feel really good after we've been in these teens and 20s for so long. And then Saturday, we see that big crash come down on Saturday morning. So Saturday morning, it has us pretty much down to like 20 degrees on Saturday, and then getting down into the teens. So again, the colder that we get on Saturday, that is going to up those precipitation totals where that really cold air is overlapping with that moisture. Because the cold, that just increases that snow ratio as we get that really cold, dry air at the surface. And then we have that moisture as we go up above our heads, right? And it's not going to be like last time where we have that warm layer of air. There's going to be no warm layer of air. It's going to be all cold air all the way up, right? And kind of show this to you here. So remember last time when we were looking at this 0 degree line here, and then it would kind of, we saw that bulge almost look like that nose of warm air. There's no nose. Everything here along this whole entire temperature profile is well to the left of 0 degrees, which is 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius, right? Freezing mark. Back to our high school science classes. So it is going to be plenty of cold air for that snowfall to work with. And we can see that there is that moisture as well. So Saturday, again, the Euro is keeps us really cold on Saturday. I mean, I'm talking we might get to a high with the Euro, maybe 20, 22 degrees on Saturday afternoon. It is going to be cold. And then overnight, we see those temperatures by Sunday morning down close to 10 degrees. Up in the mountains, it could be in the negatives maybe, -1, -2. And then look at these wind chills as we go from Saturday into Sunday. So Friday morning wind chill still going to be in the 20s on Friday, but then we'll warm up Friday afternoon. And then here comes that cold air. These are wind chill temperatures. So by Saturday morning, wind chills are in the single digits, 7, 8 degrees out toward Atlanta, closer to maybe, 19, 20. And then here we go. We're down into the single digits, close to 0. Up in the mountains, -10 degree wind chills. Clint saying, I'm calling 6 inches in Columbia. I'm assuming you're there in South Carolina. I don't care what meteorologists say. I think that's actually very reasonable out there. 6 inches over in Columbia. I think from Columbia up through Charlotte and then over toward Raleigh and then toward the Outer Banks. I think that's going to kind of be the bullseye of the heaviest snow with this system. And you can see these wind chills here Saturday, even as we get into the afternoon, not getting much better. Still in the single digits on Saturday afternoon, 4 degrees out here in Athens. So Saturday is going to be a bitterly cold day on Saturday afternoon. I mean, we thought Tuesday morning was cold. Saturday is going to Saturday is basically going to be similar to Tuesday morning, but all day long, right? There's not going to be a warm-up like there was on Tuesday afternoon. And then as we go from Saturday into Sunday morning, this is where things are going to get really, really dangerous. Really, really dangerous on Sunday morning. We're talking we could have wind chills in Atlanta, maybe -3 to -5. Up here in the northeast Georgia mountains, we're talking -15 to -20. Up into the western North Carolina mountains, maybe even like -25 out there. So this is going to be a really, really serious cold air Arctic outbreak, even more so than the one we just had a couple days ago, right? And then also we're talking even out here out west, even back toward, Mississippi, Tennessee, all these places that are still without power. I really am hoping that they've got power back here by this coming weekend. Otherwise, they are going to have a serious problem on their hands out there, right? Then we'll see Sunday. We'll warm up a little bit. These are the wind chills here. So that's Sunday afternoon. Wind chill still in the 20s. And then Monday morning, wind chill still in the teens as we go into Monday morning. Let's kind of talk about that time frame here from Sunday into Monday, right? Take a look at this precipitation, right? So here comes the precipitation. There's our low, by the way, right? This is the low. It's going to kind of dive down here on Friday. It's going to dive down here into the Gulf of Mexico, and it's going to end up crossing over the state of Florida. Meanwhile, we've got our upper level low that's the diving that we looked at earlier, diving out of Tennessee, coming across the state, and as it comes across the state, here comes that snow, right? So the blue, obviously, you see, is the snow. So again, this is showing snow on Saturday morning. This is early Saturday morning for pretty much all of North Georgia, and then from Atlanta east on I-20, pretty much all the way over toward Augusta. Then as we continue through the day on Saturday, that snow fills in, intensifies here around Augusta, Georgia, over toward Columbia, South Carolina. This is where we could, again, like we're saying, see some of that heaviest snow. And then another possibly heavy band, and I think this is why some of the models are so far picking up on Athens, getting maybe 3 to 4 inches of snow. And again, these totals could be higher if we do see higher snowfall totals, drier air, colder temperatures, right? So here's this big dip in our trough right here going across. I mean, we're talking where, look at this snow out here in the Gulf of Mexico, south of Panama City on Saturday, right? And snow coming all the way down here toward maybe south of Macon, all the way over here toward getting close to Savannah, maybe a little bit of sleet down there near Hilton Head or just north of Hilton Head area. And then that moisture continues to wrap around, and then it will the snow will end from west to east. So the further west you live in Georgia, the quicker the snow is going to end for you as we go through the day on Saturday. So here's Saturday afternoon. So we're still seeing snow east of Atlanta, over through parts of Walton County, up through Gainesville and into the northeast, and out near Madison, Georgia, and east out down I-20. Over toward Vidalia, Statesboro, even maybe down here toward like Milledgeville, and then through all of South Carolina, back into the mountains of western North Carolina. Charlotte and those areas, I think, as well, could see some pretty significant snowfall totals from this as well as it moves up. And then there's that low. This is going to be what we call that bomb cyclone, where it is going to quickly intensify and move up the East Coast. And that's the part of the forecast where we're still a little uncertain is the track of it once it gets beyond North Carolina. Does it go closer to the U.S., kind of up the East Coast, or does it stay out over the open waters of the Atlantic, right? So that is still definitely something we have to keep an eye on. And then obviously by Sunday morning, all the snow is gone, but the cold air remains. So that kind of gets us there. That's kind of what we're looking at with the European model. Look at this GFS model of the same thing. This shows you the difference, again, in the uncertainty that we still have in the track of this. So again, Saturday, maybe across far northern Georgia, Friday night around midnight into overnight. We could see a few snow flurries and snowflakes across far north Georgia, right? But then it really is going to get going here Saturday right around sunrise is kind of what I'm thinking. And again, so the GFS is a little bit further east than it. So really Atlanta, not really getting much of anything, but just, 30 miles east of Atlanta, we could be talking 3 or 4 inches. So again, it's going to be a tight gradient potentially. And then throughout the day on Saturday, that's Saturday afternoon. And then by Saturday evening, it is all gone except for maybe parts of southeast Georgia still getting a little bit of snow. And then it really ramps up. Look at these, this intense snow, maybe a little bit of sleet mixing in there for eastern North Carolina where, again, they could see some of those highest snowfall totals. So at this time, if you are just joining the live stream, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and open it up here to your guys' questions. So if you can hop on that live chat, go ahead and ask your questions. I will answer them as best as I can with the information that we have. I will add this to the conversation that we're all having here. I do think travel impacts are definitely looking more significant than I would say 24 hours ago, especially toward the Atlanta metro area. I'm not saying this is going to be, a snowmageddon or anything like that, but I do think that if people aren't prepared for this, that it could catch them. Like if they're just waking up Saturday morning and it's, just lightly snowing and they're thinking, oh, I'm going to go out and do some shopping and stuff like that. That's the type of situation where it could kind of catch some folks off guard, and then it starts snowing heavier. And it isn't going to take long for it to stick to the roads. That is going to be a big difference between this storm and obviously what we just had a few days ago, where in some places like where I live, it didn't really impact the roads a whole lot, like maybe for like half a day, but then they were perfectly clear by the next day. I know obviously they're still dealing with, ice and all that out in parts of Mississippi and Tennessee and stuff like that, even in northeast Georgia a little bit, and where that sun hasn't hit the roads and it's very shaded and all that stuff. So, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking here for this next storm. And we'll definitely be keeping you guys updated here as we draw closer to this event and as we continue getting more information. So be sure to stay connected with us here on our YouTube channel and as well on our other social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, those kind of things. And we'll definitely keep you guys updated. The good news is we still have a couple days to kind of fine-tune this forecast here as we get closer to the event on Saturday. I do kind of want to take a look at some of these totals again here for the bigger region across the southeast. You are welcome, Austin. Yeah, GFS, I mean, bringing in parts of North Carolina at over a foot. And the Euro, here's a little bit more reasonable, 6-7 inches, maybe some places near the coast, 9 to 10 inches, 11 inches. But again, some of these totals, especially more interior, where those snowfall rates are higher, some of these numbers could be doubled. So there are places that I think that could see closer to a foot of snow. I think north of Charlotte in those areas could get that 8 to 12 inch range. I think parts of South Carolina, kind of between like Columbia and Greenville, could also get, over 6 inches. And I'm thinking Atlanta right now, we're in that 1 to 2 inch range, possibly. And then out closer to Athens could be... It very well possibly could get close to 6 inches. It's not out of the question with these snowfall rates and ratios that we're looking at here tonight, and that amount of cold air that's going to be in place. Some of these totals could definitely be on the mid range, where they could be, bumped up a couple of inches from even what we're seeing on here and stuff like that. So not necessarily doubled. It's not going to be doubled everywhere, right? So we can't just put a blanket across the board where, let's just double all these totals. It's really going to depend on what the climate is like, what that temperature profile is like where you live, right? How cold is it? How much moisture are you getting? What are those QPF? That's the other thing we take a look at is our, this is what we call our QPFs, right? Quantitative precipitation forecasts. So this is basically the amount of liquid rain that falls right before it turns into snow. If it was to come down as rain, how much rain would we see, right? So these are the QPF. So we're looking anywhere from, maybe a little over 1/10 of an inch up toward maybe closer to 3/4 of an inch, right? So this is where when you see those 10-to-1 snowfall ratios, basically they're taking this QPF number and they're multiplying it by 10, right? So 1/10 of an inch of QPF would equal 1 inch of snow. 3/4 of an inch of liquid precipitation, multiply it by 10, that would equal roughly 7 to 8 inches of snow. So that's kind of what the 10-to-1 ratio does. So as those ratios go up, those numbers, those snowfall total numbers also go up. So that is something that we are seeing with this system as far as the dynamics go, the upper air dynamics are showing, is that this is going to be a higher impact event, especially for portions of north into central Georgia, as well as pretty much all of eastern Georgia, right? I would say if you're east of Interstate 75, that is the area where you could be impacted by this, right? So that's kind of something that we're going to be keeping an eye on. And again, this is for the north, for most of Georgia, north central Georgia. This is basically the next 3 days of temperature forecast. I know it's a little bit hard to see, but I'll kind of zoom in here for you guys so you can kind of see some of this here. So you can see here this third row down that says Atlanta. Obviously, we're going to be in the 40s on Friday, like I said. And then by 3 a.m. Saturday morning, we are going to stay below freezing until maybe Sunday at 3 p.m. We might hit freezing on Sunday, maybe get to 33 degrees. But it's really not until Monday at noon when we actually get back above freezing pretty well. And that's going to be the big story. We are talking some places could be 65 to 75 hours where you are going to be below freezing. And the big problem with that is the plumbing, right? Freezing pipes is a big concern with this next weekend system as well. So we've got the snow threat. We've got the travel impacts threat. We also are going to be keeping an eye on this, because this could be another really big story across Georgia, is burst pipes. Here in Atlanta, there's just something about burst pipes happening, it seems like every winter or every other winter. And this is going to be that thing. Once you get 60, typically plumbers will say once you get to that 65 hours in a row of being at or below freezing, that is where your risk of pipes bursting dramatically increases. And that's what we're basically forecasting for from basically late Friday night through Monday at noon. Many areas across north and central Georgia aren't going to get above freezing until Monday at noon. Austin and Allie asking, what's your Vegas over-under snowfall total if you had to guess based off of tonight's data? Based on tonight's data that I'm seeing for Monroe, I would probably say Monroe is looking at the 2 to 3 inch range, I would say, is kind of my estimate, so to say. I feel like a solid 2 to 3 inches out there right now seems pretty reasonable. I'm still being a little conservative because we're still 3 days out. My aggressive snowfall forecast for that area would probably be closer to 4 to 5 inches, maybe 5.5 even at the very high end, assuming that we really get those high snowfall rates and we get some big, quick bursts of snow. Maybe have that snow band that we're seeing set up around Athens. Seeing something like that set up over Monroe where you could get a quick inch or two of snow in a couple hours, that could really up those snowfall totals for a place like that. But so hopefully that kind of answers your question. I do think that really you're probably at a, between a 40 and a 60% chance of seeing greater than an inch of snow. So the probabilities are there. As you get out even further east towards Athens, you're probably closer to 60 to 70% out there. So those probabilities are increasing for sure. They are definitely increasing. And that kind of makes me think of something else that I want to get to show you guys and talk about real quick. And again, keep those questions coming here in the live chat, guys. They are absolutely great. Help keep the conversation going. One thing I also like to look at is what we call our Winter Storm Severity Index, or our WSSI. And we can we're starting to get an idea now that we're within 3 days. We can start getting an idea of what that WSSI, Winter Storm Severity Index, could look like as of right now, right? So let me show you this here. So this would be for, I think this is for Friday. So this is really the day before the day. So we're seeing that I think this is day 3. Yeah, this would be for Friday. So again, seeing that start to develop here. I mean, obviously we're on where Friday into Saturday, really Saturday, we could see that winter weather. This might actually be for Saturday, day 3 here. I think this is for Saturday. So we are seeing, again, all of Atlanta is down to Statesboro, down through Macon here, over even towards Savannah, just north of Savannah, is in a potential winter weather area for those regions. Then here, eastern Tennessee. But again, I think around Charlotte, Columbia up towards Charlotte, that I-85 corridor from Charlotte even over toward Raleigh, points north, that's where some of those highest snowfall totals definitely could come into play. So definitely something that we're going to have to keep an eye on here, especially as we get into tomorrow. Once we get tomorrow, especially by Friday, we'll really have a really good idea as far as that. So here's the risk. Yeah, so here's the risk of snowfall over 4 inches. So you can see in the red area, parts of Greensboro toward the northeast side of Charlotte. Obviously the mountains there, the Great Smoky Mountains. Snowfall above 8 inches. Kind of not really anything, just light snowfall. And then freezing rain is not really going to be a big threat with this at all. So, but again, that snow impact, again, it definitely right now is looking more and more like we'll see snow, especially on the eastern suburbs of Atlanta and the northern suburbs of Atlanta. Still a little bit of question about the northwestern side and the western side, but that's kind of an idea, again, of the potential impacts. And again, this will change as we continue to get closer to this event. So keep it with me. I'll definitely keep you guys updated as we go through the next few days. I will definitely keep you guys updated. And you can always, send me a message over on Facebook through my meteorologist Joseph Pisani page. I can definitely see those and respond to those as I can. So when I'm not in the live stream, if that's a way you want to kind of reach out to me, you definitely can do that. But we'll be doing another live video here tomorrow evening. Again, we'll be doing a live video every single night here leading up to this event. And then Saturday is going to be a little bit different. We are actually going to get out of the studio here, and we should be chasing this event on Saturday. And we'll have that live stream will be on WeatherWise. You can download the WeatherWise app. That's what I'm using for all these different maps. There is an app called WeatherWise. There's also a website that you can go to. It's just WeatherWise, the word weather, the word wise, all one word, weatherwise.app. Go to weatherwise.app. And then once you're on there, our live stream, there will be a little beacon, basically a little green dot that will show up probably in eastern Georgia somewhere on Saturday afternoon. And you can click on that and watch our live stream. We'll also try and live stream it here on YouTube as well, do a simulcast to both WeatherWise and to YouTube. So we will definitely see you back here again tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. So we'll have a lot more data. We'll have a lot better of an idea of the winter weather impacts for Georgia. But again, I do believe that chances are increasing for us to see accumulating snowfall across portions of north and eastern Georgia on Saturday, starting early Saturday morning, finishing by Saturday afternoon. That snow will stay on the ground pretty much throughout the rest of the day Saturday, most likely all day on Sunday, and then it would melt by Monday afternoon once the temperatures get above freezing. It'll melt pretty quickly with it being that light, fluffy stuff. It should not take very long for it to melt. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you again for all your support and for trusting me with your forecast and coming to me with your guys' questions. Thanks for joining in the live chat. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. I will see you guys back here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Central. Stay safe, stay warm, and experience the extreme with all of us here at Extreme Weather Videos. Have a great night, everyone, and we'll see you guys on our live stream tomorrow night. Thanks for watching.